Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Callum Quinn, and today we're going to be talking about Astrobots, issue 2. Now, as the series' sophomore issue, I have to say I'm really impressed. This has been a very exciting read so far, and I might have enjoyed this issue even more than the first one. But before we get into my thoughts on the issue, let's go over the story. We open with Athena, the bot we saw just briefly in the very first issue at the end, and she's talking about kind of her philosophy of like taking care of humans. She's a robot designed to rehabilitate humans after hypersleep, where, I mean, they basically have to like relearn how to walk and all this stuff, and there's a bunch of copies of her, as you can see, are all on the colony ship. There's like 50,000 humans, and they have to take care of all of them, and she's kind of worried, you know? She's like, okay, we've been on this who knows how long centuries journey, and this city that Atlas built, Atlas City or whatever, seems cool, but she's suspicious. She's like, anything this good has to be too good to be true. She wants to know, you know, what the deal is, why it just seems a little suspicious to her. And she's right. I mean, even here, we cut to this next scene where we have the insurgents from the first issue talking about overthrowing the government and stuff. And at this point, we're not really sure who's in the right or not. Like, I wasn't sure, are these insurgent guys? I think this one is on the council. I'm not sure, because he seems to have inside information. I wasn't sure if he was the bad guy or if Atlas is the bad guy. I mean, let's be honest, he looks a little bit like the bad guy right here, but this guy could also be the bad guy, you know? And then we kind of cut over to Atlas, who is meeting Apollo and being shown in by Argus, who's like a hive mind kind of guardian robot, and they have this really interesting conversation that I guess will be important for the story later. But you know, he kind of talks about like, we had Atlas robots on my mission, Apollo says, but nothing like this Atlas. And he's like, well, you know, I needed upgrades to rule the city or whatever. And they talk about, they mention another city that the Astrobots built that's in a dead zone now, and something mysterious and probably bad happened to that city, which is really interesting. And then we get a shot of Athena training, and turns out she can really hold her own. She's designed not just to nurture the humans, but to defend them, which is really cool. And she's been chosen as part of the delegation to go down before they send all colonists down to see Astrobot, or Atlas City, built by the Astrobots. And Atlas and Apollo are having an interesting conversation. He's like, we are humanity's last hope and all this stuff. Join me. And Apollo's like, well, honestly, I don't really know that much about you, and I'm not much of a joiner, and really this seems suspicious, so I'm out. Peace. And Atlas is like, sure, fine, that's cool, whatever. But as soon as he leaves, he's like, Argus, go kill that guy. So I think we're kind of getting a good picture of who the bad guy is here. And then we kind of get this interesting scene that's like these two robots just talking, and they're under surveillance. And this one robot's like, I kind of agree with this Apollo guy. I was rooting for him. And they're like, yeah, let's kill this guy immediately. And it's kind of from Argus's perspective as a hive mind guy. He's like, all right, well, we're going to send in the thought police here, which, so it kind of shows there's not a lot of free thought in this city. Not a good sign. And Argus himself, instead of his hive mind soldiers, he's going to take care of this personally, taking out Apollo. So Apollo is just walking through the, I guess the Undercity or downtown or whatever, you know, like the outskirts. And then we cut back to where a council member is greeting the delegation from the colony ship, welcoming them to Colony World 1. And that's interesting. I wonder if we'll see other colony worlds in this series. I guess it depends on how long it runs. But I think Simon Furman has some interesting long-term plans for this. He usually has a lot of cool world building and long-term stuff that he likes to include in his books, and I've always appreciated that about his writing. He doesn't really just make it up as he goes along, or at least he's very good at faking it. And Atlas is kind of talking about just, you know, oh, so glad you're here. It's a new beginning for humankind. I am Atlas, your humble host. And Athena's like, that's a little presumptuous. You just named the whole city after yourself. I kind of think you're suspicious. And he's like, I like you, and we have more in common than you realize. Sounds like an evil bad guy thing. I'm interested to see where that goes. Now we cut back to Apollo. He's just like, hello there, friend. This guy's refueling a truck. Just like, I got nowhere to go. Can you point me in the direction of the way out of this city? And he's like, sure, but I'd like to introduce you to some friends of mine right before Argus shows up with a bunch of guns and is like trying to kill him. And it seems like this guy he talked to, Apollo, was part of the resistance. And so they start fighting. There's a big firefight. It's very cool. It's got the classic Simon Furman one-liner. Well, they're not really one-liners. They're like one-liner, then builds to another one-liner. Like this scene right here, he's like, I can only be pushed so far before I push back. This is very cool. It's neat. It's like kind of cheesy, but kind of cool too, and I like that. and this whole platoon of Argus soldiers is really having a hard time putting down this one robot. Oh, I forgot to mention earlier there was a, when he was talking with Atlas, he says like, Atlas is like, didn't you guys have like a built-in obsolescence program? Like when you're done, don't you just shut down? And he was like, don't know, my job's not done yet. So that's an interesting concept. I want to hear more about that. I hope we get more of that in future issues. But Apollo just absolutely takes out all these guys, and Argus, right before he gets crushed, just transfers out of that body and into another one, which is a pretty cool scene. And the Resistance is like, welcome to the Resistance. And Apollo's like, I got nowhere else to be, let's do this thing. And right there at the end, Athena's like, Atlas, we need to talk. So this is a very cool story of the first issue. And then of course, you know, you get the Astrobots toy line ad. You get an ad for the new toy line, which honestly, I mean, look, it's got light up features, fully posable hands. I might have to pick one of these up. I just hope they have one with Apollo with his cape on, because that's a cool look. We get variant covers, which, I mean, they're all just so beautiful. Like, the art team on this book is insane. It's so good. Got an ad for a thing, and then we got the look at Astrobots issue 2, or issue 3. Man, this cover is gorgeous. I am so hyped for this book. This looks really cool. And I mean, it's pretty early, but I'm really enjoying this book. Like, I look forward to reading it, and as I said in a previous video, that's kind of a sign that you want to keep getting a book, right? You really want to look forward to reading this, and this is issue 2, you know, so I mean, who knows where it's going to go from here, but that's really exciting. I am definitely interested to see where this series goes, and I think, like, it's so early, right? We don't really know. We only have like a little tidbit of what all of these characters are like, so I want to know more about Athena. I'd like to know more about Argus. I want to know more about Apollo and what his deal is. Like, his backstory sounds so interesting, and he's just the kind of character, right? He's like the reluctant figurehead, I suppose, is where it seems like it's going. I just like characters that want to do the right thing, but they're kind of no nonsense, and they're not in it to be like big famous leaders. They're just trying to do the right thing. That sounds really good. I'm really excited to see more about him. And Athena interests me as well. She's really interesting and cool. I like her. I want to know more about the council and the politics of this world. And I'd like to know more about Atlas. He seems pretty sleazy, and I'd like to know what his deal is. But yeah, that's Astrobots issue 2. Super interesting read. I really enjoyed it, and the art is amazing. The writing is shaping up to be really good. I highly recommend you pick up this book for yourself at your local comic shop or online, because it is well worth your time. It is a really good read. And with that, I guess we're at the end of the video. You can see my videos early and ad-free on Patreon. If you join the party over there, we have lots of fun, where you'll also get early access to my webcomic, Siblings of Steel. It's the story of 2 robot cops going across the galaxy solving crimes. And if you like stuff like Astrobots or Transformers, you'll probably enjoy that too. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and comment to let me know what you think of Astrobots issue 2. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, Internet!